Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're looking at the story of Jesus and Zacchaeus, the tax collector.
Oh, yeah, definitely familiar with that one.
But here's the twist. We're not just going to rehash the same old Bible verses.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's different this time?
We've got Zacchaeus' firsthand account. It's like, imagine finding his personal diary or something.
Wow, so we get his raw thoughts and feelings, not just the polished version.
Exactly. All those behind-the-scenes details that never made it into the official story.
That's really cool. So what jumps out at you from Zacchaeus' perspective?
Well, first off, the way he describes Jericho, he calls it God's garden, full of beauty and wealth.
Interesting. So a thriving city.
Oh, totally thriving. He paints these vivid pictures, talks about flowers and exotic fruits, even Herod's palace, super luxurious.
So everything's great then, right? What's the problem?
Well, that's the thing. Zacchaeus, even though he's the chief tax collector, he feels totally empty inside.
Oh, wow. So you have this stark contrast. Outward prosperity, but inner emptiness.
Exactly. It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? I mean, here's a guy at the top of his game, right? He's got the money, lives in a beautiful city.
And yet, he feels like something's missing.
Yeah. Like he's chasing after something, but can't quite grasp it. Does that ever resonate with you?
Absolutely. I think we've all felt that way at some point, haven't we? Like maybe we're chasing success or material things, but still feel this kind of void inside.
Totally. It's that age-old question, isn't it? What truly brings fulfillment?
Definitely something to ponder. But going back to Zacchaeus, there's another layer to his story that makes things even more complicated.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say. His job.
Exactly. Tax collectors were not exactly the most popular folks back then.
Understatement of the century, maybe?
They were seen as collaborators with the Roman Empire, basically profiting from their own people.
So they were basically outcasts.
Pretty much. Imagine being labeled a traitor just because of your profession.
It must have been tough. So picture this. Jesus is coming to town, right? And Zacchaeus, he's desperate to see him. He's heard all these amazing stories about Jesus, the miracles and teachings and everything.
Yeah, the buzz was definitely building around Jesus at that time.
Right. But there's one problem. Zacchaeus is a short guy.
Yeah, yeah, the Bible mentions that.
And there's a huge crowd. So what does he do?
Let me guess, he doesn't exactly blend in.
Nope. This wealthy, powerful official climbs up a sycamore tree.
No way, just to get a better look.
You gotta imagine how funny that must have looked.
I can picture it now.
Yeah.
But, beyond the humor, I think it speaks to Zacchaeus' longing. He's willing to overcome any obstacle just to connect with Jesus.
Totally. It's like this deep yearning for something more in his life.
Definitely. He's searching,
Yeah.
So what happens next? Does Jesus notice him up in the tree?
Oh, yeah. Big time. Jesus stops right under the tree, looks up, and calls out, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." It's not just a general invitation. It's personal. He calls him by name.
Wow, that's powerful. It's like Jesus singles him out from the whole crowd.
Exactly. Imagine being Zacchaeus in that moment, being recognized by someone you deeply admire. Must have been amazing.
Absolutely. A moment of real connection. But I bet not everyone was happy about it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The crowd starts gossiping instantly. They're like, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. They just couldn't believe Jesus would associate with a tax collector.
Ah, the judgmental crowd.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't see past their preconceived notions.
So true. And it just highlights how revolutionary Jesus was. He didn't care about social status or reputation. He saw the person, not the label.
Totally. That's
Yeah.
one of the most beautiful things about his ministry.
And what's even more amazing is Zacchaeus' response. He's so energized by this encounter with Jesus that he makes this incredible announcement.
Oh, yeah, the big declaration. Tell me more about that.
He stands up and says, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount."
Whoa. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. That's a radical statement.
Right. But it makes you wonder, is it just an impulsive reaction? Or is there something deeper going on here?
Good question. What do you think?
Well, he doesn't just make some vague promise. He specifically mentions repaying people 4 times the amount. That's a direct reference to the Old Testament law about restitution.
Oh, that's interesting. So he's connecting his actions to a deeper understanding of justice and righteousness.
Exactly. It's like he's trying to align his life with God's will, not just make a showy gesture.
So it's not just about the money, it's about a genuine change of heart.
Right. He's not just feeling sorry for himself, he's actively seeking to make things right. It's a powerful demonstration of true repentance.
I love that. It really challenges us to think about what true repentance looks like in our own lives.
It's not just about saying you're sorry. It's about taking concrete steps to change your behavior and make amends.
And that can be a tough process. But ultimately, it leads to true freedom and wholeness. It's really cool how Zacchaeus talks about his transformation in the context of his name.
His name, what do you mean?
Well, Zacchaeus, it means pure or righteous. It's like he's rediscovering his true self,
Yeah.
shedding the label of sinner and embracing this new way of being.
Ah, I see what you're saying. It's not just about outward actions, it's about this inner shift too. Like he's reclaiming his identity. And speaking of actions, giving away half his wealth is a huge deal, but then he goes even further, promising to repay those he cheated 4 times the amount. It's like, where is this motivation coming from?
Yeah,
What do you think drives him to go above and beyond like that?
I think it shows just how deep his repentance is. He's not just trying to clear his conscience or something. It's more about making things right, truly righting the wrongs of his past. And it's not random either. He specifically references legal precedents from the Old Testament.
Oh, right. Like he's deliberately trying to act in accordance with God's justice, not just his own feelings.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, I want to live a life that honors God, and that starts with making things right.
It's so different from those Pharisees we always hear about. They were all about outward appearances and following the rules to the letter. But Zacchaeus, he's demonstrating a genuine change of heart.
You got it. It's true repentance, going way beyond just following the rules.
And it all comes back to that encounter with Jesus, right? It's like Jesus offers him this incredible gift of grace and a path to redemption.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful example of how powerful grace can be when we're open to it.
Okay, so Zacchaeus has this incredible transformation, but his story doesn't stop there, right? What happens next?
Well, get this. Zacchaeus ends up becoming a bishop in the early church. Can you believe it? From tax collector to church leader.
Wow, that's wild. It shows this wasn't just a fleeting moment for him. It completely changed his life and set him on a whole new path.
It really does. It's like that encounter with Jesus had a ripple effect, leading him to become a source of inspiration for others. It's pretty amazing to think about. He went from being an outcast to a respected leader, all because he took a chance and climbed that sycamore tree.
It's like a reminder that no matter who you are or what you've done, it's never too late to change. There's always hope for transformation and finding your true purpose.
And sometimes the most unexpected encounters can lead to the most profound shifts in our lives. That's the beauty of it all, isn't it?
Definitely. It makes you wonder, what are those sycamore tree moments in our own lives? Those seemingly small choices or encounters that end up changing everything. Like, think about this. Zacchaeus mentions that Jesus told him he had planned to stay at his house all along.
Wait, really? I don't remember that from the Bible.
Yeah, it's in his personal account. And it makes you think, right? Like, maybe Jesus wasn't just passing through Jericho by chance.
Oh, wow. So it was intentional. He specifically wanted to connect with Zacchaeus.
It's almost as if Jesus saw something in him that nobody else did. Like, he looked past the tax collector label, the wealth, everything, and recognized this deep longing for connection and purpose. Kind of makes you wonder, what does Jesus see in us? What potential does he recognize that maybe we don't even see in ourselves?
That's a powerful thought. It's a reminder that we are all seen and known by God, even in our most vulnerable moments. And he often works in ways we wouldn't expect, using ordinary encounters to bring about extraordinary change. Zacchaeus also talks about this profound sense of peace and joy he experienced after meeting Jesus, contrasting it with the emptiness he felt when he was just chasing wealth and status.
I bet a lot of people can relate to that. I know I can. Like, we think that having more stuff or achieving success will make us happy, but then it's like, why do I still feel this void?
It's like we're looking for fulfillment in the wrong places, right?
Yeah.
Zacchaeus' story reminds us that true wealth lies in how we live, how we connect with others, how we align our lives with our values.
It's not about what we have, but about who we are and how we choose to live. It's about recognizing that our worth comes from something deeper than our possessions or achievements.
Exactly. And it's about finding fulfillment in something greater than ourselves, something that connects us to a deeper sense of purpose and meaning. It's cool how Zacchaeus' family gets on board with his new way of life, too. Like, his wife and kids embrace this change right alongside him.
I noticed that too. His transformation had this ripple effect that extended to his family. It's a good reminder that our choices and actions don't just impact us, they affect those around us as well.
It's all connected, right? When we choose to live in alignment with our values, it creates this positive energy that spreads outwards to our families, our communities, and even beyond. Zacchaeus' story is a testament to that.
And you know what else I thought was really powerful? How his relationships with others changed. Those who used to judge him as a sinner now welcomed him as a friend. It's like forgiveness and acceptance have this amazing ability to bridge even the deepest divides.
That's so true. It's the transformative power of grace in action. When we let go of judgment and embrace compassion, it creates space for healing and reconciliation. We start seeing each other not as labels, but as human beings worthy of love and respect. There's this quote from Proverbs that Zacchaeus mentions, "Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice." I think it perfectly captures what he learned.
It's such a simple yet profound truth. It's about prioritizing ethical living, integrity, and compassion above material wealth. True fulfillment comes from living in alignment with our values and striving to make a positive impact on the world.
It really makes you think about the setting of this story, doesn't it? It's not just some random city. This all happens in Jericho, a place with so much biblical history.
Oh, absolutely. Jericho's a pretty big deal. This is where, the Israelites crossed the Jordan River into the Promised Land.
Right. It's a city known for miracles, new beginnings, that kind of thing. And Zacchaeus, he's experiencing his own personal Jericho moment, you could say. Like he's breaking down old walls and stepping into this new life, just like the Israelites all those years ago.
Whoa, I never thought of it like that. And remember how Zacchaeus even mentions the Good Samaritan story? The one that happened on the road between Jerusalem and Jericho?
Yeah, it's almost like he's consciously connecting his own transformation to this bigger story, this grand narrative of radical compassion and love.
It's pretty cool, right? Like he's saying, hey, I'm not just some tax collector. I'm part of something bigger, something meaningful.
Definitely. He's finding his place in the grand scheme of things. And let's not forget how easily he pulled those laws from Exodus and Samuel when he decided to make amends.
Yeah, that's true. He's got this deep understanding of Jewish law, which you wouldn't necessarily expect given how he was viewed by so many.
It really challenges our assumptions about, who's in and who's out when it comes to faith,
Right. It's not about outward appearances or labels. Zacchaeus, despite being seen as a sinner, he shows this genuine desire to align his life with God's will.
It's a great reminder that change can happen anywhere, to anyone, regardless of where they come from or what they've done. All it takes is that willingness to open yourself up to the possibility.
It's about being willing to take that first step, even if it means climbing a sycamore tree, facing the disapproval of a whole crowd, going against the grain. Zacchaeus encourages us to be bold in our pursuit of something more.
Absolutely. It's about being willing to step outside that comfort zone, to challenge the status quo, to embrace those unexpected twists and turns that life throws at you. You never know what those detours might lead to.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Zacchaeus' world, I'm just struck by this feeling of hope and possibility. His story shows us that change is always within reach, that grace is there for the taking. And sometimes, in the most unexpected places, we might just stumble upon something that changes everything.
Zacchaeus climbed a sycamore tree just to catch a glimpse of Jesus. What might you need to climb in your own life? What walls need to be broken down? What detours might lead you to your own personal transformation?
We want you all to really think about Zacchaeus' story and how it speaks to your own experiences. Have you had those sycamore tree moments, those seemingly insignificant choices or encounters that shifted your whole perspective?
Share your thoughts, your insights with us over on social media. We'd love to hear your stories. And until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, keep diving deep. May your journey be filled with unexpected grace and those life-changing encounters.